Today I've got some juicy KvK drama, and of course, 254, which is my kingdom. We're so toxic. We're at the center of it all. So stick around in this video for the explanation of what the heck is going on in our KvK that is so damn crazy. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and if you're already subscribed to my channel, you know that the kingdom I'm in, 254, is looking to take very difficult fights as often as we possibly can. In fact, I make daily Rise of Kingdoms videos designed to help you get value and smash your enemies, so consider subscribing if you haven't already. This is just one of many videos in my drama series talking about the crazy stuff that happens in this game, because when we queue up for KvK, our expectation is that we'll play to win, but our goal is to get some good fights. And so when we queued up for KvK, we actually couldn't find any other kingdoms that wanted to battle into a tough KvK with us. I think we were really hoping 365 would be like, yeah, let's freaking go, but they weren't. And so we queued up for KvK because our options were wait forever and probably not still get a really tough opponent, or queue up now and at least maybe we can get in cycle with some other big kingdoms. So we queued up. We went for Heroic Anthem. We didn't play any games about it either. As far as I know, we multiple days of being sort of showing that we had queued for this KvK. And this is the match that we made. Now, we said coming into this, hey, you know what, y'all? We want to fight every single one of you. So you should all be allies. That's right. We're looking for a 1v6. We're going to fight this. Now, I actually think we could lose a 1v6. I actually think as a kingdom, in some ways, we're stronger than ever, but in many ways, we are weaker than ever. We took a bunch of people into our kingdom who, in my opinion, still are young accounts and need to prove themselves that they're actually fighters, okay? I think we're actually weaker than ever. And I think that a lot of our players are really drained from having zeroed themselves over and over and over and over. So I think if you want to take down 254, it's a damn good day to go and do it. So we wanted to take a 1v6 and said, hey, if you want to fight us, let's freaking go. You should all ally is the message we basically gave to these 6 other kingdoms. And there's 2 other imperiums in here. 2 big boys. 2 chunky boys, baby. Because, look, if you're an imperium, you're one of the top kingdoms in the game by power. But I'm going to talk more, maybe a little bit later, about the imperium system and why this is a little bit weird, because I think 254 is a cut above most imperium kingdoms, because we're a no BS kingdom, and we really do zero a lot of people who don't show up. We take care of our dead weight in a jet, we really do. Like, if you don't meet your contribution requirements, we tell you needed to, and you don't drop the power, like, you will have your power dropped. Like, and hey, these are the rules. Like, you signed up for them when you came here, but without getting into all that drama, which, hey, look, you can do me a huge favor and throw a like on the video to offset all the dislikes I'll probably get for saying that we enforce contribution, as weird as it is to be like, hey, it's a team game. We require you to be a part of the team. I'm going to set aside that tone and that attitude just to talk about what's going on here, which is that instead of them being like, yeah, we're going to freaking wreck you, instead of them being like, you're going down, you're so dumb for taking a 1v6, which we are, instead of that, they're like, actually, what if instead we just fight ourselves for a little bit and then surrender the KvK? That's basically what they're going to do. And I'm paraphrasing because that's not what they said. What they said was, you know, look, we really want to get more fights. We're presumably going to be the fire camp. Okay, fire camp's up here. The Kingdom and Wind camp, we believe, is Kingdom 2000. And they're really worried that for just a whole month, they're not going to get any fighting. And it's like, well, okay, but y'all should team up and clap those cheeks in Kingsland, because we can't handle 6 kingdoms at the same time. I don't think that's a good idea, really. Okay? They should go for that. They should do that. They should be, dude, Kingdom 2000 should be freaking hyped that after we are drained, okay, and we're bled out fighting all these other kingdoms, that they're going to come in and freaking wreck us. But instead, they're like, you know, we don't want to wait that long to get some fights. We just did a desert KvK. And we'd rather just do sort of like a free-for-all thing. We could duke it out with some of these other kingdoms that are our neighbors, and we just sort of see what happens. And it's like, bro, like, look, I'm not in the Diplo. I don't actually know what was said. I'm getting all this, like, third hand. So, like, take it easy if I've misrepresented in any ways, like, kind of what's going on here. But as an outsider who's observing, it just feels so weird to me That the choice would be like, we'd rather have like some like really irrelevant fights in a way that's like really irrelevant for a KvK objective, like just so that we can have some fights. I mean, we are a kingdom who likes to take fights, okay? But you could take down 254, and rather than even try, like you're like, I don't even want to try. Rather than even try, you would rather have an irrelevant side fight instead of the great glory of a 6v1 freaking smash fest in Kingsland? All right. Like, all right, if that's what you want to do. Like, we'll roll up, we'll get the W then, I guess. So that's kind of what's been going on. And I don't want to just give you this perspective. I'll share with you kind of Bunny's perspective. And I feel like it would be kind of cool to have the other kingdoms' perspectives represented. But I think they feel like, and let me just make it clear, like, if you don't want to take the 1v6 against us, then you must think you're going to lose. Like, you must think you have absolutely no chance. And I just think that's a huge misrepresentation of the position of 254 in this moment. Because in my opinion, as a player of this kingdom, I see a lot of people who have not recovered power for a very long time, who can only send so many troops to die because they only have so many. And we have a lot of new people who still got to show that they're going to freaking send their troops to die. I think if you're going to go for us, now is the freaking time. Shouldn't have waited to do it. So it's really interesting that they are going to give us this opportunity to just gain a tremendous amount of momentum and strength in a way that I really don't think they should. And I'm comfortable with either way that this KvK goes, because if they don't fight us, then fine, we get a win, and we'll find a way to have our fun, okay? We'll find a way to have our fun, either queuing for another KvK right away, which I think would be probably an interesting choice, or we're the kind of kingdom who would have a damn civil war if we felt like we needed to drop Imperium if we really wanted to. I think this is a little, personally, I don't like that approach. I'd rather queue for another KvK sooner. But the challenge we have by making our kingdom so large is that it's tough to find really good fights. It's surprising we find ourselves in this situation with two other Imperiums that, for whatever reason, aren't able to get on the same page around the wisdom of, like, let's freaking clap those cheeks in a 1v6, because that's very doable. Now, that said, the other thing that I wanted to talk about in this video is what you're supposed to do when you queue for KvK. Because I hope you all know, like, as a kingdom, especially as an Imperium kingdom, these bigger kingdoms should do this, but every kingdom, you should not just be like, woohoo, like, we're just gonna queue into whatever happens. Like, I'm gonna sign up for whatever, and whatever happens. Like, you should be looking at what other big kingdoms are going to be out there. If you are an A kingdom or you are an Imperium kingdom, you need to know what other big kingdoms that you don't want to fight are queuing. Okay, so if you know you don't want to fight 254, you should not accept a KvK pop when you know we're there. For days, we were signaled that, like, yep, we signed up for this KvK. We were like, here we are, here we come. We're doing Heroic Anthem. Okay, we hope you sign up. I'm pretty sure that we had people like Ruz reaching out to large kingdoms to be like, please queue up, come fight with us, come play this KvK. So I don't know, like, what you would expect if you queued up for KvK and your Imperium and you get thrown into a map with us and you're like, oh, actually, we don't want to fight you. And the other piece of the puzzle that I'll say here is I think there's a learning here, right? Kingdom 2000 is saying, like, hey, we just had a desert KvK. There wasn't much fighting. And it's like, of course there was not much fighting in desert KvK. The whole point of desert KvK is not, it's like not a fighting KvK. The whole point of it, and there's a role for it, okay, is for, like, casuals to go, I think, put their troops in those, like, weird structures, and then, like, they get sent to die on their behalf because they couldn't bother to show up for the KvK. Like, it's a casual KvK. It's not like a fighter's KvK. So it fulfills a role. I'm not saying it shouldn't exist. I'm just saying I don't know why you ever queued for it, okay? And just because you've made that mistake doesn't mean you should roll into another one, in my opinion, which will be doing this nonsense, off to the side, everybody free-for-all, guarantee we lose the KvK. Because if you all don't ally, I feel like we are extremely advantaged to go in and sweep this map. Because if you all do anything other than try to take down us, you will drain yourselves in a way that, like, you are not going to be able to take us in this map. So I have a lot of thoughts here that I hope weren't overly critical, but this situation, I think, is extremely avoidable by understanding that when you queue for KvK, you're supposed to be looking at who else is queuing, and the fact that you're going to take a fight with them, You have to be ready if you get match made with them, and you need to expect that if other freaking big kingdoms are queuing and you're a big kingdom, you're going to end up there, and you're just going to you have to be ready and very comfortable taking that fight. The other thing that I'll say that I think I want to show is kind of Bunny's perspective, which I think is a well spoken and maybe a little more thoughtful than what I'm sort of doing a little off the cuff here, explaining like this very weird situation. So let me just show you the message that 254 got about what's happening. Okay, everybody, here is the message from Bunny about this KvK, and I'll read it with my best Bunny voice. Actually, I don't have a Bunny voice. I'm just going to read it. Okay, guys and girls, here's my take on this shitty situation. So as you've seen, the other kingdoms are unwilling to take a 1v3. I keep saying 1v6 because there's like 6 kingdoms that we would fight, despite it being the best outcome. And look, I've already said this, but I think it's like very obviously the singular best outcome in this KvK to get huge, like a week-long Kingsland brawl, maybe longer, would be just an amazing, all-out bang, hell of a show. And I think, you know, oh, we won't fight sooner is just like such a weak non-commit to the actual real play that everybody should make here. Now, look, I'm a little biased, but like I say, it's the real play everybody should make in terms of like, shouldn't the design of KvK is to try to be the winner, not to try to be the person who's like the irrelevant side thing. But also, we're telling you we want it. Just because we want it doesn't mean you should do it. But I think like all the way around, it's just really obvious that going for the 1v6 is the way to go. From my understanding, Bunny says, it's a combination of them not wanting the shame of losing 6v1 and 2K not wanting to wait 40 days for fights. The likely result of this is as follows. Water Camp is completely effed and probably won't make it into Kingsland. Wind and Earth will likely deplete themselves before they make it into Kingsland. Right. Because if all these kingdoms don't take a stance, by the way, and be like, hey, we're going to do this together, some of these kingdoms are going to be like, you know what? I'm not going to show up for this then. I'm not going to put effort into this if these other kingdoms that are the imperiums that are supposed to be the freaking linchpins for this thing are not going to show up. So, you know, I mean, if I were like a seed kingdom looking at 254 and the other kingdoms that are supposed to be in there aren't going to be my allies for this, like, okay, like we'll just wait for another KvK and fight that one. So they say, unfortunately, given the state of future pops, this HA was still our best option, as 365 had no interest in matching us. And this is true. We would have happily gone head-to-head, 365, very happily done that. But I think it was clear they weren't going to actually queue for KvK, so we had to go HA. And 1960 wanted to take the 4th pop on the premise that is Strife of the 8, but there's no guarantee to get it during that registration window. We also didn't have enough kingdoms registered to go into Strife of the 8 without almost guaranteeing we get no match found. So for 254, we kind of had to do this. Like there wasn't really any other pop for us to take. And if we sit there as a fighting kingdom, okay, one of the biggest imperiums in the game, and we're like taking no fights for like 2 months to try to get a match here, it's too much. We can't do that. We have to do something. We have to enter KvK. And in a lot of ways, we should almost follow 1960's example of like, take every KvK as fast as you can because you get iconic crystals. And there's truth to that. Like you really want these KvK rewards and the iconic crystals. So Buddy says, don't be pissed off. It's a shit hand we've been dealt, but we've had worse in the past. The best thing we can do is see this KvK through, kill as much as we can, keep our power low by only training T4s. T4s can always be upgraded to T5s later. They're worth less power from a passive training and, you know, from the bastions. Hold back on gaining power as much as possible, as we are uncertain how many fights we'll get this KvK, and the decision to have an Imperium drop will come later. So, you know, the problem, if these kingdoms don't want to fight us, is that dropping Imperium for us will be extremely difficult. And I don't know how we're going to do that, but deleting troops to me feels really dumb. I just think fighting other enemies and getting rewards and just queuing as fast as possible, even if we can't get a good fight against a good kingdom, is like kind of our best option here, which is where we find ourselves now. And he goes on to say, we have plenty of fresh blood that if we don't decide to drop, we can leverage ourselves into a massive KvK next time without any difficulties. Making us suicide crazy amounts in a bad KvK to drop Imperium is stupid, and we will not be doing this. So we're going to minimize our power gain and inflation, aim to drop as much as we can with the fights we're given, is the realistic thing we can do in this KvK to secure a drop the next time we all go in. And, you know, look, if we look at 846, okay? Like, they made crazy drops, and I don't know if they could have taken harder fights when they did crazy drops, but they did crazy drop after crazy drop after crazy drop, and I feel like it really depleted their kingdoms. Bunny says, again, a decision on the Imperium drop will have to be made later in KvK. We get idea of what sort of fights to expect. Be positive. It's still free for all. We have 6 kingdoms we can kill. We will do everything we possibly can to put us at the center of this fight in this KvK. It's not a vacation. You're all still expected to show up. Don't get lazy and skimp on bundles. You should reach 100 million crystal for the 38 chests that carry over in the next KvK. Bunny goes on to say, in short, don't give up hope just yet. Make the most of it. Just because it isn't the massive KvK we hope for doesn't mean we can't have some fun. There's still going to be fights. Keep your power as low as much as you can and enjoy your holidays. This is unfortunately the most difficult KvK we can create given the circumstances. So next time we can only hope to get a real challenge or some big Imperiums that actually want to fight us. We won't let these kingdoms ruin our fun or stress out. So make the most of the opportunities given and be ready and welcome to better ones next KvK. So, you know, look, again, I'm not trying to be too critical of the other kingdoms and their choices, and it's not every other kingdom that's in this KvK, by the way, that made this choice. As Bunny said, I think it is really Kingdom 2000 that's like, we really don't want to wait until Kingsland, so we're going to do this irrelevant side thing. Instead, we'd rather do that, which I don't know how else to look at it other than that, because if they do the irrelevant side thing, 254 will sweep the map. If they don't all ally, we're definitely sweeping this map. If they do ally, I think we could lose. I told you, I think that although we are scary strong, they are 6 freaking kingdoms, man. 2 of which are Imperium. Y'all are supposed to be able to handle that, okay? Anyways, there's other implications here as well as to, like, should you be Imperium? And I'm just going to jump back in game to talk about my restart, which is purposefully not Imperium for, like, all of these reasons. So this is my restart account. It's actually almost 100 million power now, which is kind of crazy. And we have purposefully stayed out of Imperium. We're in the Nile KvK. So subscribe if you haven't already, because we're going to start to have Nile fights, the very first ones that have ever happened in Rise of Kingdoms, which is going to be very, very fun. But if I look at the alliance power here, we have an alliance when we're in KvK, okay? It's 13.2 billion power. Normally, it's like we were under 12 billion, okay? And we have a second alliance here that's over 10 billion. And I was kind of shocked when we had space in main alliances and we were like, actually, recruiting is done. We're not taking any more players. And I was like, what are you guys doing? Like, do you need a little help recruiting? You know, and I just like sent a little message to some of the officers. I was like, you know, we're not taking players. And they're like, yeah, no, we have all the bodies we need. We are trying to not inflate our power. We should be at a kingdom. And they're right. 2293 is a young-ish kingdom in this game. We're not trying to get matched up against 2K or 2244 or 254. Like, we can't take kingdoms like that. And although we did beat 1306 in this kingdom, that was in no small part, in my opinion, because we had great allies. So I think it's very important for every kingdom to understand what kind of kingdom they're trying to be. And I just think it's a huge mistake to not take this 1v6, because, like, who wants to be in a kingdom that would rather take a fluff nonsense side fight instead of trying to, like, take down the big bad boss in the room? I mean, 6v1. Like, 254 has 4 alliances. We're a 4 alliance kingdom. Are you telling me that in 2 other Imperiums and in 4 other kingdoms that you can't muster something to take that down? Like, I think you can. I think if for no other reason than your position advantage that you could create on the map, pressuring us in so many places at once. Anyways, I'm not going to claim that this is an easy W against 254. I do think that we're more vulnerable than ever. I think that they should take the 6v1 because they have a chance of winning it. But if you aren't going to take fights like that, then I think you should do what my Restart Kingdom is doing, which is be better stewards of what your power is, so you don't end up in these situations, okay? So that you can enjoy a nice Nile KvK against opponents that actually make sense for your kingdom, rather than having all the inflated power and you're like, what? How? Why? What am I doing here against 254? If you enjoyed this video, throw a like on here, consider subscribing in less than 24 hours. Again, we've got our first fights here with some seasonal freaking strategies. I got to decide where I want to put some more of these points. I'm really hyped. It's going to be a lot of fun. And the KvK on my main account, I think, is going to be fun too. And in case you missed it, over all the Thanksgiving festivities, over the last couple days, I released some really important videos. They announced new infantry commanders. I'll have a card in the end screen with their images, so you can go check that out. Also, formation system is live in a small number of KvK Season 2 kingdoms. I'll have a card in the end screen right over here in just a second. You really need to understand formations, which will be coming everywhere probably in the next 2 months. Check it out in just a second.